chief of the criminal division. In the criminal division, there are 3 units: organized crime unit, fraud and corruption unit, and environmental and natural resources crimes unit. The division is about 50 people, including attorneys, investigators, auditors, victim witness directors and coordinators. We kind of fill the void between the state's attorney's offices and the U.S. attorney's office, so we can handle cases that might cross over multiple county lines or some case in that category, but it doesn't quite rise to the level of U.S. attorney involvement. I've always been someone who cares about how other people are treated and cares about people getting treated fairly, and this job really allows me to do that. This is why I love working here. I mean, we are helping provide voices to victims. That is the reason I do this. Really feeling like I make that difference really warms my heart. Former AG Brian Frosch hired Elizabeth Embry to run the criminal division here, and she tapped me to come start the organized crime unit. And Elizabeth has been one of my great mentors, and we've had wonderful women leaders in this office. 2 current deputies, Carolyn Kutraki and Candace McLaren Lanham, Anita Hurley, Liz Harris, who was a former deputy. So I have been really lucky to have a lot of women, powerful, strong women in my circle who are leaders and who saw leadership abilities in me.
This investigation has resulted in the indictment of 4 individuals. The defendants are members of a criminal enterprise.
I was really lucky to grow up, and my parents always let me know I can do whatever I want. If I put my mind to it, if I work hard, I can do whatever I want. They were always encouraging me and my sister. They were always supportive of anything we wanted to do. Nothing that I ever thought, well, this is harder because I'm a woman, or maybe women can't do X, Y, Z. It was always women empowerment, and I would gravitate towards the women, but I don't think I realized it was intentional. I used to be a pretty good swimmer. That was the one sport I did most of my life since I was little. I was a captain of my high school team and then captain of my college team. I loved it. The team building, the camaraderie, you always have your people and they always have you. That was something that I actually think that really helped develop my leadership skills. That was really where I first started coming into my own as a leader. I went to college not having any idea that I'd want to go to law school, and I was a psychology major in undergrad, and then my senior year I just sort of felt like something was missing. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. Ended up deciding law school was right. Made my way to Baltimore, University of Baltimore. We really taught its students grit, hard work, and so that is when I started kind of finding myself and learning what I wanted to do. I started with a clerkship with Judge Shirley Watts, who is now on the Supreme Court of Maryland. At the time was on the Intermediate Appellate Court. Getting to know her and her path and having her as a mentor was really important. And honestly, I think at the time, I didn't even realize how important having a female mentor like that was, because I again, wasn't quite at the point where I realized how hard it can be for women out in the world. And so obviously in retrospect, I'm so grateful that I had those opportunities and that unknowingly at the time, I think strong women like that were really shaping my backbone, my tenacity, my work ethic that I needed. If anything, it made me find my voice more quickly. Went to intern at the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office, and I was in the Major Investigations Unit, and I fell in love. I started just working around the clock and really enjoying every minute of it. I was a little bit aware that, people would joke about me being a little bit of a workaholic, but I thought you were a workaholic if you were miserable. And I think because the passion was there, I didn't really quite realize how much of a toll that can take on you and how life can pass you by. My dad, the year before COVID, got diagnosed with terminal cancer, and we were really fortunate to have 2 years with him before he died, and he really spent that time trying to talk to me and my sister and make sure he was imparting all his wisdom. And the one thing that he really focused on with me was not letting life pass me by, not missing the rest of the world. And he would go fishing every year, I think for 30 some years with his buddies. He would go up to Canada, and for 2 weeks he would just spend time signing off and being in touch with the wilderness and himself and re-energizing. And he took my mom, my sister and I there before he died, and we had a moment out on the lake in the boat where he said, "You really need to find something like this for yourself." And I'll never forget, he said, "This place is, I feel it in my bones, and you need something like that." And very encouraging that it's okay to be this passionate about work, but also find something else that I'm passionate about and take time to see the world. That really stuck with me. It took me a little while to figure out what my thing was going to be. Because I was a swimmer, I guess this was a natural thing to end up doing, but I realized that scuba diving was something that could be my thing. It clicked. I love the water. I've always felt comfortable in the water. So I did. So last year I got dive certified, and I'm now going to try to travel the world through dive trips. That also led me to kind of marry the two things that I love, which is the water and all things water, but also helping people and serving a cause and having a purpose. And it just so happens that the instructor who taught my dive certification course works at a fire department and runs their public safety dive team. So I am now a volunteer for the 5th District Volunteer Fire Department in Howard County for their public safety team. At the start of last year, 2023, I decided I really wanted to make sure I was present for each day and focusing on little things that I might otherwise miss out on or not appreciate for what they were in the moment. So it's a little silly, but I started on Instagram just posting every day. I called it 365 days of happy moments, and I would post a photo and a little blurb about what my happy moment for that day was. And it actually really forced me to think back on each day, not with some, forced or feigned positivity or anything like that, but to just be appreciative of life and of the little things. I worked my ass off, and I wouldn't change that. It got me to where I am now, and I'm very grateful to be here. And I would really encourage other young women, young people generally, to make sure that that's a priority. When you're starting your career off, you're going to have to work hard if you want to get to where you want to get, but to make sure you're not letting life pass you by. And I think that was my dad's real point, and I try to emulate that as a supervisor now. I try to really make sure, with all of these new people coming in, to really make sure you're in tune with yourself and in touch with life, and that helps you be a better whatever you're doing. Be better at your job, be better for people, be better at showing up, be better at standing up for yourself. And so I've learned that balance.